Let's talk about artificial intelligence and something called neurodiversity. It's a really complex relationship. As AI weaves itself into pretty much everything we do, it's opening up these incredible new doors. But it's also creating some pretty serious new challenges, especially for the neurodiverse community.
And we're not talking about a small group of people here. Think about this. Roughly 1 in 5 people, that's up to 20% of the entire world, is considered neurodivergent. This covers a whole spectrum of natural differences in how our brains are wired, things like ADHD, autism, and dyslexia. So this is a huge part of our society.
So what do we actually mean when we say neurodiversity? Well, it's this simple but really powerful idea that these differences in how our brains work, they aren't deficits, they're just natural variations in what it means to be human. It's a complete shift in thinking, right? The focus isn't on fixing people, but on understanding and making space for all these unique ways of thinking and being in the world. And that leads us to the big question we're tackling today. As these AI tools become the new gatekeepers for jobs, for school, for how we connect with each other, are we building a world where they empower the neurodiverse community, or are we accidentally creating this new automated wall for them to climb? The answer, as you'll see, is complicated. Okay, let's start with the risks, the scary stuff. This is that potential dystopian future where AI that's just, poorly thought out doesn't just copy the biases we already have, but actually makes them stronger and even creates totally new ways to exclude people. The first place we see this happening is in hiring, and the scale of it is just staggering. Get this. An estimated 99% of Fortune 500 companies are now using AI to screen people for jobs. This isn't some far-off prediction. This is right now. This is the job market. And here's the catch. These AI tools are often trained to look for what they consider typical personality traits, a typical communication style, even typical tiny movements you might make in a video interview. So what happens? Highly qualified, brilliant neurodivergent candidates get automatically filtered out just because they communicate differently or their resume doesn't fit some rigid, conventional template. We're not just automating old problems, we're literally inventing new kinds of discrimination. This risk follows us right into the classroom. You see AI plagiarism detectors that claim they're super accurate, right? But their algorithms can have a hidden bias against unique writing styles. I mean, look at this. Even a tiny 1% false positive rate could wrongly accuse over 200,000 U.S. college students a year. The consequences of that? Devastating. So just how deep does this bias go? Well, this finding from Duke University it's genuinely shocking. It found that some AI models view the simple sentence, "I have autism," more negatively than "I am a bank robber." Think about that. It shows that all the biases from all the human text these models are trained on, it's getting baked right into the foundation of the code. But here's the thing. That dystopian future, it's not a done deal. The problems we're seeing are failures in design, not failures in the technology itself. And that brings us to a whole new way of thinking, an approach that's all about designing for difference right from the very start. The guiding principle here is something called Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. The idea is simple. Instead of building a one-size-fits-all tool and then trying to patch on accommodations later, UDL says, let's build flexible, accessible experiences from the ground up so they work for everyone, no matter how they learn. And the single most important takeaway from this whole UDL method is this. Stop trying to fix things after the fact. The real key is to co-design everything with the neurodiverse community from day one. Bringing their voices to the table isn't just about being fair, it's how you get to the most innovative solutions that, time and time again, end up making things better for everybody. So, what does this actually look like when we get it right? Let's flip the coin and look at the other side. The incredible, incredible promise of AI when it's built with inclusion at its heart. This is where AI stops being a barrier and becomes a powerful ally. Okay, so one of AI's biggest superpowers is its ability to reduce something called cognitive load. Basically, that's just the amount of mental energy it takes to deal with new information. For a lot of neurodivergent people, that can be completely exhausting. AI can step in and handle all the unnecessary extra stuff, which frees up your brain power for what really matters, the actual learning.
So, for anyone who struggles with what's called executive functioning, things like planning and organizing, AI can be an absolute game changer. For instance, there's this app called Goblin Tools. You give it a huge, overwhelming task, and the AI just breaks it down into a simple, step-by-step checklist. Suddenly, it feels totally doable. Or take dyslexia. AI tools like Read and Write are just transformative. They can read text out loud, making it accessible. And their predictive text and advanced spell checks give you this incredible support when you're writing, helping you get your ideas out there clearly and with confidence. And the innovation just keeps going. This is really cool. A startup called Arrows uses AI avatars to create a completely safe, judgment-free zone where autistic people can practice social conversations. The AI gives them real-time, private feedback, helping them build confidence at their own pace.
And you know what's really amazing? You don't always need a special, dedicated app. You can use mainstream AI tools like ChatGPT and just tell them what you need. You can ask them to create a custom study plan, explain something super complex in simple terms, or even help you figure out how to structure a work email.
Let's make this super practical. Look at this example from Kaplan. By just telling the AI, hey, I have ADHD, and giving it a clear goal, you can get a personalized study plan that's actually designed for how your brain works. This kind of custom support used to be unimaginable, and now it's literally at our fingertips.
So we have these two futures in front of us, right? One with automated barriers and one with empowered allies. But the path we take isn't set in stone. The choice of which future we actually create, well, that's happening right now. It's up to us.
So the real question for all of us, for developers, for teachers, for bosses, for everyone, is this. What do we actually need to do to make sure AI ends up being a true force for good?
The way forward really comes down to a few key actions. On the tech side, we absolutely have to check our tools for bias and always keep a human involved in the big decisions. But just as important is the human side. We need to make designing with the neurodiverse community the new standard. We need to teach everyone how these tools work. And we have to create environments where people feel safe enough to ask for and use these kinds of support. In the end, AI is a mirror. It's going to reflect back at us the values, the priorities, and the biases that we, its creators, build into it. The technology itself doesn't have a preference. So the question is, which future are we going to choose to build?